Hello. In this video, I'm going to look at an article called Disruptive Innovation, ? It's by Christensen, Michael Raynor and Rory McDonald, and it appeared in the Harvard Business Review in December 2015. Now, the article is an update on Christensen's theory that was introduced about 20 years ago in 1995. And it's an attempt to clarify, in the author's views, what this theory is and what it is not. It's a response to various criticisms and misunderstandings that have arisen since it was first introduced. As a result, the article is a useful summary of the concept of disruptive innovation and the refinements that have taken place since the theory was first introduced. As the authors caution, disruption and disruptive innovation have become terms loosely associated with the concept of innovation. And almost any situation where an industry is shaken up or a previous incumbent has stumbled is described as disrupted. The danger in this, in the conflation of disruptive innovation with any breakthrough, is that different types of change, different types of innovation require different strategic approaches. The authors stress that the lessons they have learned about how a disruptive innovator succeeds or an incumbent defends against a disruptive challenger will not apply in every shifting market. As elsewhere in strategy, if we get sloppy with our labels or fail to integrate insights, managers will end up using the wrong tools and so reduce the chances of success. Now, the article is divided into two parts. The first recaps the theory and seeks to clear up various misunderstandings, and the second details how the theory has been developed over the last 20 years. In this summary, I'll combine those two sections together. So let's start with recapping the theory. According to Christensen, disruption describes a process whereby a smaller company with fewer resources successfully challenges an incumbent business. Specifically, as an incumbent focuses on improving its products and services for the most demanding and usually the most profitable customers, they exceed the needs of some segments and ignore the needs of others. The entrant that proves disruptive begins by successfully targeting those overlooked segments, gaining a foothold by delivering more suitable functionality, frequently at a lower price. Incumbents chasing higher profitability in more profitable segments tend not to respond vigorously to that entrance. Entrants then move up market, improving performance but maintaining the advantages that drove their early success. As mainstream customers switch in volume, disruption has occurred. We can visualize all this on a graph of performance of the offering against time. At any point in time, different customers have different performance needs between low and high-end customers. In many industries, low-end customers are the least profitable as price dominates. And while high-end customers are the most demanding, they're also the most profitable. While customer performance needs and expectations do rise over time, incumbents' product performance will rise more quickly through continuous improvement and sustaining innovations. After all, it is the day job. As a result, product performance may overshoot the needs of low-end and mainstream customers. When a new entrant appears with a low-cost innovation that meets the needs of low-end customers or those customers who are non-consumers, the incumbent is likely to ignore the new entrant, try telling your board that you're going to divert resources to a segment that makes negligible, if not negative, contribution to profitability. As time goes on, the performance of the entrant improves, and the same debate plays out in the incumbent, and no response is attempted. Christensen, Raynor and McDonald argue that as a result of several factors. Companies are profoundly influenced by the interests of their customers. It needs them to survive. So incumbents rationally listen to their existing customers to concentrate on sustaining innovations to improve performance. Over a long period of time, practice drives institutionalized process that make it difficult for even senior managers to shift investment to disruptive technologies. Conventional resource allocation processes will always prioritise sustaining innovations where margins are high, there is a large market, and the customers are well understood, while starving disruptive innovations for potentially small markets, low profitability, and where customers are less well understood. Even when it's obvious that the innovation is disrupting and taking mainstream customers, the incremental profit from one more year often trumps proposals that write off existing assets at a stroke. Market dynamics are also driving the behaviour of the entrants. Usually low-end and new market footholds are populated by more than by a lone disruptor. Now initially, incumbents provide a de facto price umbrella, so many entrants can enjoy profitable growth. But as incumbents withdraw from the low end, this umbrella is withdrawn and price-based competition takes hold amongst new entrants. Some will flounder, but the smart ones will improve performance and drive up market where they can once again compete against higher cost incumbents. So the disruptive effect drives every competitor, both incumbents and entrants, up market and disruption of the mainstream. Christensen, Raynor and McDonald ask if Uber is disrupting the taxi business in this way, but they answer no and give the following reasons. Firstly, disruptive innovations originate at the low end or new market footholds and only catch when performance rises enough to capture mainstream customers. So either where incumbents' offerings overshoot requirements of less demanding customers, or disruption creates a market where none existed and turns non-consumers into customers. Uber did not originate in either. It has built a position in the mainstream market and in doing so appealed to historically overlooked segments. Secondly, most elements of Uber's strategy seem to be sustaining innovations. Easy booking, cash-free payments, convenience, etc., to which many taxi firms are responding with comparative technology, hailing apps, or contesting Uber's legality. Interestingly, later in the paper, Christensen, Raynor and McDonald do suggest that whilst the main business of Uber may not be disrupting, the later introduction of Uber Select, its limousine or black car offering, may in fact be a disruptor of the limousine market. Christensen, Raynor and McDonald then move on to particularly seek to address a number of areas where there have been misunderstanding, and they raise 4 of these. Firstly, they say that not all disruptive innovators succeed, so success should not be seen as built into the definition of disruption. Secondly, they believe that the mantra of disrupt or be disrupted can misguide managers quite badly. A response may be necessary, but an incumbent should not dismantle a still profitable business. Instead, it should continue to strengthen relationships with its core customers by investing in sustaining innovations. Thirdly, disruption rarely results from a technology or a product. Neither are inherently sustaining or disruptive. Instead, disruptors usually build a business model very different from that of the incumbents. Look at the way that focused clinics offering standardized treatments may be disrupting healthcare in the US. And remember that the iPhone did not disrupt the mobile phone market, but it did disrupt the way people access the internet as a result of apps and Apple's App Store, so challenging and disrupting the laptop industry. Finally, Christensen, Raynor, McDonald point out that disruption is a process. It is not something that happens to a product or a service at one point in time. Rather, it is the evolution that happens over time and the path the innovation follows from the fringe to the mainstream, first eroding incumbents' market share and then its profitability. Now, towards the end of the paper, Christensen, Raynor, McDonald asked what a disruptive innovation lens can reveal. Well, what they say is when a new technology is developed, disruption theory does not dictate what managers should do. However, it does help them to make strategic choices between taking a sustaining path or taking a disrupting one. When an entrant tries to tackle an incumbent head-on, offering better products or services, the incumbent will accelerate their own innovations to defend their business. Either they will beat back the entrant with ever better services and products at comparable prices, or they will acquire the entrant. In a separate study, Christensen found that only 6% of entrants using sustaining innovations succeeded. Uber in this is an exception. But while a disruptive lens can inform managers, universally effective responses to disruptive threats remain elusive. You can, in some cases, create a protected separate division to explore and exploit a new disruptive model, keeping it away from the mainstream business. And sometimes that does work, and sometimes it does not. But a failed response cannot always be put down to a lack of understanding, insufficient executive attention, or inadequate financial investment. The rational decisions that firms are making in response to market pressures can mean that effective response is impossible. So, Disruptive Innovation by Christensen, Raynor and McDonald. So what do we make of this? Well, it is a useful reminder that we do need to be alert to challenges that come from unexpected places. It also shows that firms, by following the correct rational approach to business, cannot always succeed. And new entrants may come along who will disrupt your industry. It does then raise an interesting question about should an incumbent respond at all. Yes, it may be necessary to safeguard the continued success of the firm, even its survival. But is this in the best interests of shareholders, the investors in the business, and society at large? This is a question that we'll raise in another of the articles in this series. Thank you for watching.